after his commandments. And here's the tough one. Do you know what it says before that, Bob?
Teach me, you're not my teacher.
No, but here, I want you to listen to what he says. Like, if you, and now I beseech thee, lady, this is 5, right? 2 John, let's see, where's 2 John 1:5. And now I beseech thee, lady, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto thee, but that which we had from the beginning. This is a commandment, that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment. So now we know what the commandment is. That as ye have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it. For many deceivers are entered in the world who confess not that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. This is the deceiver and an antichrist. So what he's talking about here, Bob, it appears to me, and I'm ready for your correction, because you pointed me here, and you're the teacher here, and all I'm doing is reading.
I'm not trying to be a teacher.
But you're trying to correct me.
No,
so here,
I'm not trying to correct you.
Here's the statement that's made in John, where you pointed me 4 lines before. He says,
you're not listening, Rob.
Well, I want you to listen.
I don't need you to explain.
For many deceivers are entered in the world, those who confess that Jesus Christ does not come in the flesh. And so what 9 is talking about is those who don't confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. Has Eric confessed that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh?
He denies the essentials of who Jesus Christ is.
But that's not what 9 through 11 is talking about.
If Jesus Christ to Eric is not omnipresent, he's only multi-present, then how can he confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh, who is fully God and fully man?
Because
and he denies it.
No, I don't think that he does.
The
best person.
Jesus wasn't omnipresent when he was a human on the earth. Jesus, the God-man, who's 100% God and 100% man, was not omnipresent when he was on the earth. He depended on his Father. But I think God forgives you for being uninformed, biblically. You didn't lose your salvation because you're being unfair and not humble, and you don't know what reality is according to the text. So, you grace, no obeying his commandments, I'm saved by grace, condemning other people, you're ridiculous. You're an embarrassment and a joke. And I pray that God humbles you if you're a child of God. Also, well, here, let me play you something. Let's see. Here. Is it live? I don't think so. Here we go.
Jesus' resurrection, obviously.
This is Daryl Bach. He works at Dallas Theological Seminary. He would be your scholar of once saved, always saved, Baptist, Southern Baptist type. I'm pretty sure. He's a dispensationalist. He writes books. He's the go-to guy. He's the man.
This key doctrine.
So I would like, before I get to the resurrection, we do have an audience question. So Jamie is one of my favorite listeners. He's a good friend of mine. And he brought this question up on a previous episode that we had talked about. How do we understand the humanity and divinity of Jesus? And do you mind taking an audience question?
No, fine.
Okay, awesome. So Jamie asked, I'll put it up on the screen here. Do you think that the mind of the Logos was fully present in Jesus? How should we think about his humanity and divinity? And then he adds to this, so this is the second part of his question. Where was the mind of the Logos while Jesus was 4 dividing cells in the womb of Mary?
I tell people that when we get to heaven, we're going to be able to have a press conference with God, and we can ask these kinds of questions, and we probably won't care by the time the press conference comes. But taking it more seriously, the confession of the church is that Jesus was fully human and fully divine. So to the extent he has full human consciousness and he has a divine power and authority, that's combined in his person. What we don't know, this is important to say, what we don't know is how he chose to utilize that structure of who he was.
Okay.
It's clear that in some cases he, I want to say, restricted or limited or did not draw on the access of all the elements and attributes that he had, and then there were times when he did draw on it.
Sure.
So, so to me, the for cell question relates to that's actually not an issue or a problem until we get to human consciousness, and think about it from that kind of way. Because at the core of the question is really what's the relationship between the two, and Jesus chose not to use all the capabilities that he had. I think the Temptations, for example, show that.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, he's constituted this way, but what he's drawing upon as he lives his life is a different deal. So much so that he can be seen as an example of living as authentically human.
Right on. Yeah, go ahead.
And so that's at least the angle I would take, or the trajectory I would take in answering that question.
No, I think you're right. And we have to keep in mind at the same time, for our listeners' sake, that first of all, you have this unique being, namely God, that
Totally unique being. There's
nothing
never been another human being like him.
Right, nothing like him in creation, and then this unique being does another unique thing, namely incarnation.
Right.
And so this is something that I have to admit and be honest, I cannot grasp. I believe the Bible whenever we read that God became man. I believe the testimony of the church fathers whenever they say that, And can I understand it? Can I comprehend it? Yes. Can I understand it fully? Absolutely not. And so
the dynamics are what we don't understand. We can understand the categories and the claim,
right?
But it's the dynamics that we wrestle with because what we don't know are, like I said, are the choices of limitation that he also undertook, because Philippians 3 talks about him emptying himself and taking on the form of a human being. So
That's right.
was that he clearly has the authority of God and exercises that authority. He clearly has access to the power of God when he chooses to use it, that kind of thing. But what that means across the board there, it's the question the Muslims ask, how can God die? It's a good question.